We are live, Travis Westby here, and looking at an absolute value inequality that says this. The absolute value of x minus 20, that's on the outside of the absolute value, isn't it, is greater or just greater than negative 13. Well, the first thing we want to look at here is it says 20 is subtracted from the absolute value of x. So my first goal, I know before anything, is I really want to isolate the absolute value of x. So I am going to add 20 to both sides to undo this subtraction right here. Okay, so now I've got the absolute value of x is less than, or greater than, absolute value of x is greater than 20 plus negative 13, which ends up being positive 7. And I'm going to rewrite this so it's closer together. And let's go back to the original color. So the absolute value of x is greater than 7. So now the next thing that we do, we say, okay, think this. The distance from x to 0 is greater than 7 units, correct? Mm-hmm. Let's draw this up on the number line real quick. Maybe it'll make a little bit more sense. So I got 0 here, right? Mm-hmm. 1, 2, I'm just going to draw some marks here. Let's get an arrow going this direction so I know that my number line's continuing. My number line's continuing. I'm going to get some marks down on my other side. So now I got, I don't know, I'm going to change this up some 5, 10, 15, negative 5, negative 10, negative 15. Those are the values I'm giving. And what I want to do here is think, because I have x is greater than positive 7, what's the distance from x to 0? Or the distance from x to 0 is greater than what? 7 units. The distance from x to 0 is greater than 7 units. So what I'm saying here, x to 0, it's greater than 7 units. So I'm going to go off to 7, and it's not equal to, so I'm going to, 7's right around this area. So I'm going to do an open circle here, and that's positive 7. And then from there, all I've got to do is say, hey, x is greater than 7 units, so x is going to be all values that are greater than 7 units this direction. And I'm going to make that thicker. It's colored in. Right, so x is all these values greater than 7 units, right? But wait a second. There are two separate values that are 7 units away from 0. One's a positive, and one is in the negative direction. Well, I've also got to go over here and do an open circle on negative 7. So negative 7's around this area, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. And I'm going to just change the size. I'll make it quicker. Again, x is greater than 7 units away from 0. So I'm going 7 units away from x, and or 7 units away from 0, and I know that x is going to be all these values in this direction that are greater than 7 units. Now I'm going to draw this up a little bit more. We say 7 units away from 0. This is also, do not write that there. It actually goes over here, doesn't it? Because this distance here is 7 units apart. And again, this distance in this direction is also 7 units. Now that I know this part, look at this. This is my, now I've got to write my inequality basically, all right? So these inequalities are, let's just write them out first. I'm going to call this point right here, all my x values, okay? I'm going to call this point negative 7. I already know that. And I'm going to say, talking with the variable first, or speaking about the variable first, I'm going to say, hey, all my x values, these are going in a negative direction. So all my x values are actually less than -7. Okay. Also, at my other point, this is +7. So +7 over here. I'm going to say, hey, starting at +7, all my x values go off in a positive direction. And those are actually greater than 7. So starting with x again, I'm going to just speak from x. I'm going to say, hey, x is greater than +7. Now, since these two lines are moving in opposite directions, I automatically know they're not connected. They're not going to run into each other. It's an or statement. So x is less than -7, or all values of x are greater than 7.